let's kick this one off. So this series is going to have, I think, 4 runs in it. So I found a 29, a 25 from HDL, and a 24 from HDL. So this one, I hadn't really practiced this a lot coming into CGDQ because I thought I had 5 games to play, and this one I felt the most comfortable with. So I wasn't particularly fussed about practicing it, and it still came off really well. So you can see there are certain things I'm not doing. Like not stopping and doing a spin dash through the loop and running through it instead. So I get a 55, which is a little bit slow. We also weren't doing the top route at the start. That's just experience with the game, knowing when that's going to happen. I also took the bottom route here. I basically treated this entirely like a Sonic run, and the same thing happened in Sonic 2 actually. I was playing that with Knuckles, and I treated it completely as though it was a Sonic run. I was forgetting all of the Knuckles exclusive things that I had to do, and it turned out the same with this one. I'm just lucky that it still looked really impressive to people at the time. So even going out of the way to get the fire shield, that was completely unnecessary. That was a really slow stage. So I'm normally about 10 seconds fast, well, at least 10 seconds faster than that now. Closer to 15 if it goes well. Wow. I didn't know much at all at this point. I went back for the hand and then went all the way through the loop and then didn't remember to go over the top. And I'm sure HDL will talk a lot about this, but this is the difference between knowing stages and knowing mechanics. And I got really unlucky there and lost all my rings, so I wasn't prepared to take any chances with that. Now, I wasn't sure how much time I had left there before I'd start spinning around. And if I had timed it just wrong, I would have actually been knocked into the boss and died. So I played it safe, took the spin dash out of the water, so that when the spinning activated, I wasn't in the water. And you all get to listen to Hydrocity 2 music once again. Enjoy it while it lasts, because it's not in any of the other runs. So doing the simple jump through the ramps. Skip significant parts of the stage. You see that again once later. And then you also see that. For some reason you can hit... spikes can do damage to you from that side. It's the same thing if you're coming into... actually, you might have seen me do it in Launch Base 1 a couple of times recently. Where you can actually hit, you can actually get damaged by spikes from behind and above. That was greedy. I didn't need to go for that 4th hit, because you can get 5 bouncing hits. And, once again, lost all my rings and had to bail out, so I didn't die. The 207 glitchless at this point would be considered pretty disappointing. Very disappointing, actually. That's something I should start doing again. How much of that was me playing safe because it was a marathon? Not as much as you might think. Really, it was just doing what came naturally to me. I didn't consciously think about playing the game safe. In a couple of situations I had to because I ran out of rings, but other than that... It was more me being able to adapt on the fly than being a conscious decision to play in this way. Yeah, I know, and those boss safety strats were because I ran out of rings. They wouldn't have been safety strats otherwise. What am I looking for here? I'm not sure why I got that lightning shield. Let's see, was I doing this flight? Yes. But I wasn't getting the extra speed off the ramps. That's stuff you'll see in later runs. If I was running through there, that wouldn't happen. So I make sure that I jump down that slope now. That was just mistimed. That was very safe. That should only be a 3-tap spin now, so you don't bounce off the mantis. Wasn't quite sure how to avoid, because sometimes when you get to the end of that section on the spinning top, sometimes you get to the end there and you just bounce back, and I wasn't sure why that happened. So I was making sure that I'd actually got to the end and was standing still before I jumped out. Nothing changes too much about this. Interestingly, I know that at the time I did this run, I actually knew about skipping Marble Garden 2, but I elected not to do it to actually show off playing the actual stage. Similarly, I had a go at Sandopoulos 1, and because I didn't know what I was doing, I completely whiffed on it. But yeah, for all intents and purposes, this is most closely compared to the glitchless run I just did. Even though I knew some of the tricks and just wasn't doing them. Oh, I forgot about that. I was too low up the first cylinder. Now I do have to fly into that gap. So you can see how long it takes to fall back down once you've flown on there. Screwed this up a little bit, but it's still fairly fast. Spend all that time charging the spin dash and then get a straight jump. That still happens in modern runs, unfortunately. I got a feeling that boss strat was from the TSC days, so probably going back to about 2005 or something. We were doing that for a long time. Did I get the water shield? No. I think that's the right play. I don't think getting the water shield makes any sense with Tails. What I was trying to do there was roll, but on that particular platform, you need to have a decent amount of speed to roll. That was very dangerous. I actually would have been dead if I kept falling, because if you get stuck on the water level like that, you won't actually move away from it until you hit the ground. Should have just gone back and bumped that bumper. Going all the way around instead of just flying straight up. Let's see how many bobs I do. 5, 6, 7. Yeah, most of the time you just did 7 and jumped out at the bottom. It's only moderately recently that we started doing 6 and jumping out at the top. Still doing that boss strategy though. Not as well though. And managed to fly over the top of the capsule. That was really silly because I probably would have hit it flush. It looked like I was just going to miss it though, to the near side. So I thought, I'll save this with a flight. Nope. You can see some of the little things I'm not doing here. So, things like when you're falling and your next move is spin dash to the right, facing right in that fall. Tails doesn't really get a massive advantage out of doing a spin dash across the spikes there. Knuckles is the one that gets the big advantage. Wow, my flights were really good here. I actually got 3 really well-placed flights there. I don't know why I got hit there. That doesn't look like I should have been hit. That one, not so much. Wasn't ready for missing that jump at all. What did I do here? Just wait for the penguin. I wonder how I handled this. I go over the top. I suppose because what I was doing was holding right off that ramp and thinking, well, that's what you want to do. You want to hold right because that makes you go faster, right? You actually let go of right as you're going up that ramp. And that gets you on top of the... That gets you on top of the platform. Above the ceiling. Yeah, that would have been a very good fight back then. We didn't think too much about getting bounces on top of the bosses, because most bosses in Sonic 3 and Knuckles try to position themselves out of the way, so you can't do that. Wonder which way I'd go in Launch Base 1, because this is another example of where it can be... Oh yeah, also you roll there. If you run through, you get hit by the back of the spikes. Again, I was talking about getting hit by the back of the spikes. So I go the slow way up there, but I do take the shortcut. Don't use the ramp at all, though. That's interesting. So that's another mechanic that I had to get hold of later. So when you just hold up against the ramp, you won't get any momentum when you actually land on it. But well, I don't know how I got that. That's what I mean, that seems to happen kind of randomly. But alternatively, if you come onto the ramp with momentum, so if you're falling down in flight and you're moving towards it, you actually will, most of the time, transition that speed onto the ramp. And that's a much better way of getting up the ramp than just flying up slowly. So these kind of runs are really interesting ways to talk about mechanics, because you can see when we get into the later runs, you'll see the difference it makes in places. That was really risky going, rolling through that ramp though, because if you roll through that first ramp, oh wow, I lost my rings again. If you roll through that first ramp, then normally what happens is you get stuck in the corner of the ramp and you don't get any momentum upwards. I should have got a bit more height out of that flight. So we didn't go and get the invincibility in these days either. So we made it through here very slowly. That's less important than this bit here. So that's where the invincibility actually saves you a lot of time. I also didn't know about the camera manipulation here. I'm trying to remember how I did this. Oh no, this is the entirely classic way. So there was a method I developed after that where you would deliberately fly just before hitting the boss, so you get hit, get knocked back, and then fly up into the boss's hitbox with your invincibility frames. So that came after that, and then after that there was the method where you fly over the invisible wall. This boss I don't think has changed in all this time. Good 6 hits, get hit again, get last 3 hits. The only thing that's changed there is you actually want to delay that last hit a little bit, because the stage ends once Robotnik gets to some fixed point below the screen, and he moves faster while he's in play, as opposed to while he's just blowing up. So you want to delay that last hit for as long as possible. So something I didn't know at the time, you can jump straight off of those horizontal bars. But we were doing that method. Turns out the fastest way to do this stage is literally just to fly over the top of it, up to about here. I think it's about this point that I realise, oh, I need the fire shield, that's right. And then I try and be really clever in getting it. And it doesn't work very well. A pretty poor start. Let's see, do I get the flight out of here? No. Oh wow, this is a very slow way of handling this section. Also wasn't jumping off the slope there. That lets you keep all your momentum if you jump off down slope like that. And completely whiffed the jump right at the end. Because of course I did. You'd also prefer to be flying up here, well, after getting a bit of a head start. no intentional hit, so I only get 5 there instead of 6. Now we get... I get to show off the fact that I knew this even back in 2010. I actually came up with it a lot earlier than that, but it was so inconsistent. And I just, out of the blue, practicing it a couple of days beforehand, thought, I should probably give this a go. And I got it really consistently in practice. So, thought, I'll give it a shot. And as it happens, first go. And that was another really well-timed flight. I don't know why I didn't think about this until much later. I actually saw somebody else do it. But doing the spin dash to push the fake spikes there, it's exactly the same as using the spin dash to push the blocks that open the doors in Sandopolis 2, and I do exactly that. And I lost myself a whole cycle on this boss because I jumped just at the time that it was about to swing. That should have been the end of the fight, but instead this is. Not sure what the delay was for there. Listening to this, actually, I feel like the when we recorded this, we only captured mono. Because it feels like a good part of the sound of this is missing. And in fact, I think this may have been what we were talking about at the time. Like, something about this doesn't sound quite right. And I couldn't put my finger on what it was because I'd only ever played it in stereo before. And I didn't have to wait for that, but I don't know, maybe I just like the lightning shield. So this is another stage where it shows up, familiarity with I guess stage elements. I'm often very unsure as I come up to specific things, where they're meant to be in their cycle. So here I'm not prepared to guess, I just walk in, have a look, wait for it to go to the next part of the cycle. Whereas now I can think about it in terms of the previous thing that I've seen in that cycle. I am going for the laser skip. Imagine if I'd actually gotten it. Especially now that I know that if Tails gets it, he's stuck. You can hear just from the sound of my spin dashes that I'm not quite as good as I should be at those. Not sure why I jumped for that instead of spin dashing. In the end, I only lost about half a second, so it doesn't matter. Nah, there was no as intended in this one. That's actually one of the newest tricks. So you won't see that until we get to HDL's runs later. Completely missed that jump. Good job I'm not playing as Sonic. Would have been better off taking a hit there, actually. Not the kind of thing you think about when you're playing in a live setting, though. You don't want to be taking damage if you don't have to. I really struggle with that flight. It's interesting, actually, talking about the music, how Tails' flight actually interrupts half of the boss music here. So taking the hit there means that you're invulnerable while you're knocking him into the pit. That's important because the hitbox is small and not obvious where it should be. And oh dear, that is not looking very good. So I think that what I may have done in this was, oh yeah, I had to do the stage with the lights off. It was a So this is kind of the ultimate on the fly, because I didn't practice this at all. This was just something that was suggested to me, and I was like, this should be possible, so I will do it. And of course it's possible, but you have to treat a lot of the stage differently to the way you would in normal circumstances. And I was very pleased with that jump there. One of the things I've always prided myself on most as a speedrunner is not being able to get, you know, the absolute best time in every situation, but knowing how to recover. And that was a really good example of that. I knew my only chance of not getting hit was to get as close to the edge of that platform as possible. Another really well-timed flight. Not so much that one though. It wouldn't surprise me if that's the case. I don't personally believe it is, but I think people don't learn that way. That's possibly why you're observing that. Me, my identity as a speedrunner, I don't like resetting. Like, I don't think many speedrunners do, but I don't enjoy the grind. I prefer to play runs out, and even if I'm a good way behind, I'm more inclined to play a run out than to just reset it. And that means that I do get myself into situations I'm not happy with, and I know how to recover them. But at the same time, with the amount of marathons we have now, why did I get that lightning shield? With the amount of marathons we have now, that style of play is much more commonplace. So I think that it's less of a factor than you're making it out to be. Uh-oh. Yeah, getting stuck up there was a mistake. That made me lose the fire shield. That was another interesting save. I knew I was going to get hit, so instead of moving right and risking falling back into the pit, I deliberately moved to the left so that I would get caught in that tunnel. It's just interesting watching this, knowing that all of my movements are less smooth. And part of me wonders, actually, that now they use a 6-button controller, whether that's a factor. being able to switch between sideways and down easier, whether that actually translates into smoother movements. Or more generally, the fact that this wasn't my controller. At this time, I didn't actually have a Mega Drive, so it wasn't. So I didn't bring one with me. So this is back when I thought the only item box here was the 10-ring box, and I managed to run right underneath it. It's really funny though, because if I had been pushed under, I wouldn't have had a clue what to do. I just knew that something was possible, and I didn't actually know how to time it. Which meant I would almost certainly have been either too early and stuck in a wall, or too late and dead. No rings there, had to be quite careful with that section, but being careful ends again now. Just safely went past the large ring. I have a technique now that lets me land directly on the button, but if you mess it up, it's really bad. So obviously we weren't skipping this boss at the time, so I enjoyed 2 minutes of auto-scroller. Yeah, that was a mistake. I actually meant to retime it and I forgot. So I did this on purpose. I lost all my rings and my shield, just, I guess, to keep myself awake. Make sure I didn't do anything really stupid. That one actually wasn't. No, that wasn't an incentive. It was just to... just to keep me awake, basically. So let's see how badly this went. I still don't understand a damn thing about when those platforms let you on top and when they don't. I don't know why that didn't count as a hit. $36. Wow. That's pretty impressively bad for a stage that's only 30 seconds long, to lose that much time. Alright, so I wonder what I actually did here. Okay, yeah, it looks like I'm doing the screen wrap, so I'm going to the right. Yeah. So that's probably the only major glitch I do in the entire run. There were a couple of little other things I did. Actually, I'll do that in Ice Cap too. Next one queued up and ready to go. I did know about that path, that's nice. That was very unfortunate. It seems odd to think about now, but the lightning shield protects you from certain instances of lightning like that, but not the bolts of lightning that come up from them. Kind of silly when you think about it. Mind you, in every other instance, the lightning shield is OP, so... it's not that big a deal. I don't know why I stopped there. So this is before we had a proper method for this run. For this boss, rather. I really like that ring. And it somehow landed back on the platform with the ring. So that's how I did it. I didn't need to do an extra flight there, that lost quite a bit of time. Essentially, yeah, lots of edge cases. So losing the shield there would be a nightmare as Sonic, but Tails doesn't lose any mobility for not having a shield, so... doesn't matter so much. Nothing's changed from here to the end of the game, so... nothing really to say about this. And so this is the point where everyone's telling me, hey, you should put that up on the site. And I'm like, no, I can beat that by many, many minutes. As it happened, the first run I did after that, or not the first run I did after that, but the first run I submitted to SDA after that, which I think was 2 years later, was a 33 something. Unfortunately, the video of that doesn't exist anymore. So we jump straight ahead to the next one, which is 2928, and my fingers are firmly crossed that this is the version with the audio commentary, because if it's not, it's going to be a bad time. So this is 2928, and I believe it's from 2013. I couldn't find it on archive, no. So I'm just gonna have to quickly. Yes, it is. Okay, that's definitely me coming in. Alright.
Hi everyone, this is Mike89, and this is my Sonic 3 and Knuckles speed.
So I don't have to say anything. I'm just gonna let my 4 years younger self talk you through this run, because so the issue with this run in particular is that when I recorded it, the sound came out very badly. This was about the time I knew that my old capture card had it, and I replaced it with the one I currently have, which is why I think it's 2013, because that's when I remember buying this. So I am just going to let this play out, and you can listen to what I had to say about the run back then, and I'll converse with you guys in the chat.
Speedrun as Tails in 29 minutes 28 seconds of game time, and that time has already started, so let's get to it. So first thing here is, this isn't something I never used to do this, going across the top of the stage like this, but as Tails it's actually quite easy and saves a good 2 seconds over going the bottom way, even if you get it right, which is not the easiest thing to do. Okay, so I'm going to be spending a lot of my time explaining tricks and shenanigans that are going on. Angel Island actually doesn't have much or any of that at all, so I'm going to start by giving my thanks basically to my brother Worster, who has helped a lot over a long period of time to both find routes and make them consistent as well. And also to HDL, who popped up in Speedruns Live last year and helped us out a lot, again, in both of those areas, both finding tricks and making them more consistent. And they've been a massive help to me in putting this run and the Knuckles run together. There's no way either of those runs would be as good as they are otherwise. And also, just generally to anyone I've seen like put videos on YouTube, or just basically any speedrun video of this game. It's amazing how you can take, even from, say somebody did this level in 2 minutes. I'm about to do it in 1:30. But even say someone did this level in 2 minutes, and there might be something that they threw in there that that I wouldn't normally do, and I'd think, oh, I could put that in my route somewhere. And that's an example of that. I was watching HDL stream this game, and he takes the top route at the split there, and I'd never thought of doing that before. And it actually saves about 4 seconds if you go up the top way. So where I was getting like 134, 135 normally, this level now becomes, I think it's 131 in this run, but I'm not entirely sure. This is just a stupid play around segment. nothing really to see here. I'm just waiting for the boss to appear. And what I'm doing here is to know when the boss appears, you listen for the music to basically fade out, and then jump. And, okay, it's 1:30, so a bit better than I thought. Okay, so from now basically to the end of Sonic 3, there's you're not going to understand too much if you haven't seen a run of this game before, and you haven't heard me or my brother or HDL explain it before. Okay, so this stage, I'm basically going to go across the top of it and skip the entire thing. The reason this works is because when you're off screen, for some reason when you're flying, you don't actually lose horizontal speed while you're off the top of the screen like you normally would. There's actually been a slightly faster route being found for that recently. You can, after you go over the first one of these walls, there's a red spring hidden behind a lightning shield box, and you can hit the lightning shield from the top and also hit the red spring from the side at the same time, and you get ridiculous amounts of speed across to the right, and then you maintain it by flying as well, and it saves 4 or 5 seconds. And that quick kill on the boss with the invincibility was pretty cool as well. And okay, so if you thought that didn't make sense, well, this level, oh, it makes no sense. I'm going to die first, because this trick won't work with Act 1 loaded behind Act 2 like it is right now. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll down the slope, fly while moving away from the wall, and then the wall pushes me down into the ground. And from there I can do something called a zip, where if I hold right inside the wall, I'll be pushed left at ridiculous speed. And that will be fast enough to clear the left edge of the screen, and I think I screwed this up. Oh, and magically saved it by landing on the edge of the platform like that. Anyway, so to do a level wrap like that, you need to be moving really fast left, and you hit the edge of the map, and you go all the way around to the other side. Now, you're not actually getting put to the end of the stage. You're getting put to somewhere behind the end of the stage, and what happens is the level wraps around on itself, and you're in an area that looks just like the level that you were just in, but there's no sprites in it, and a couple other things. And so what you can do from there is, while the camera's moving across to the boss room, if you get yourself in the right vertical position as it crosses the boss room, then you'll just magically appear there, even though that's not actually where you are. And that there was a screen wrap, which allows me to... Oh, that was a mistake. Yeah. The screen wrap only works in a few stages. It works in this stage, in Ice Cap 1, in Sandopolis 2, and in Sky Sanctuary. In any of those stages, if you hold down, wait for the screen to scroll all the way down, and then jump, it's basically the same thing as the level wrap I was describing earlier, except obviously in the vertical direction. So it thinks you're at the bottom of the screen, and is scrolling down to find you. And in the time it takes to find you, the sprites don't actually exist. So what I did there was I passed into a fire shield, and as soon as it appeared, it pushed me into the wall, and I was then able to zip out of the wall. This stage has, yes, another level wrap. What's going to happen here is I'm going to do a spin dash off that slope, which is actually not as hard as you'd think it is. As long as you're holding the direction, there's actually a pretty decent leeway for when you're going slow enough for it to let you do that. Okay, this is the bad pattern on the boss. What you want, the good pattern is you have two vertical chains quite near each other. But either of these patterns will give you a pretty easy 2-round kill. Just like that. Right, and if you thought that didn't make any sense, here comes the really fun bit. What I'm going to do in this stage is I'm going to trick the game into thinking I'm standing on the pinwheel at the top. When you stand on the pinwheel, the game changes a couple of things in the physics. What it does is it says that A, your gravity is greatly increased. It's very, very high. And that's just so you can stay on the pinwheel. And the other thing is that gravity can be applied in any direction, which is very important in doing what I just did. I managed to trick gravity to going left, and went through the left edge of the stage, and predictably ended up at the boss. And so now, because the game thinks I'm on the pinwheel, if I jump, then I will go off the pinwheel and my physics will go back to normal. I don't want that, because I can use this glitch to skip the entirety of the next act too. So I had to do that boss fight without jumping at all, and that was worse than my brother's method for doing that. This is just a funny little thing you can do in this boss room. Just make the signpost disappear like that. Okay, so now we have Act 2, and this is just weird, this one. What I'm doing is, what's going to happen is I'm going to fly into like a corner of the... I'm going to fly into like a corner of this, and I'm going to go straight up. It's almost as if what's happening is I'm stuck in like a vertical section of wall and I zip upwards. And now I'm at the top of the screen and moving across the top of the screen with my gravity going to the right. And that takes me over the entire stage and to the boss. This boss is kind of tricky to do fast, because you have to dodge the ball for those first few hits, and you'll always get hit twice doing that strategy. But I managed to get through it okay, and in fact I think 46 was the fastest time I ever got there. So I was very happy with that. But the problem is that you can't really say the run's going well until it gets through Ice Cap. Ice Cap is the most... I won't call it random, because it's not, but it's certainly the most difficult of all the tricks to perform in this run. And what I have to do is you're going to see me pause in a second. It's going to be to line up so that I move to the edge of this block here, and I'm basically slightly inside the wall and standing on top of that block as I destroy it. And what that does is it gives me a really weird collision glitch where, as you can see, collision detection is pretty much entirely broken. And because Ice Cap is one of the vertically wrapping levels, I can't die by falling. So I basically just went all the way to the end of the stage there, and I messed that up a little bit, but that little corridor at the end there is actually considered part of Ice Cap 2. So as soon as I go into it, I'm in Ice Cap 2, and I can zip to the end of this stage as well. So I just beat both acts. Now, with no rings, you've actually got to be kind of careful here, because if you are standing on the wrong part of that platform, the Ice Blaster shooting out to the side can actually still hit you. So it's so that's a kind of dicey fight, because you then have to get 6 hits before the one at the top starts firing again. And as you could see, I only just made it. And that was Ice Cap 2. I hope you like that. Okay, so one more, and this is one that Flying Fox found. It was actually found by the tool assisted runners. With two players, you'd have Sonic stand there and have Tails lift him up into the spikes. But with one player, you can actually stand here and have the bird knock you into the spikes. Now I actually screwed it up. I was slightly out of position, and so I go to this alternate method. This is the first way we used to do it before that other method, which is much quicker. And so I lost about 10 seconds by screwing that up. And in most other levels, 10 seconds is a reset, but considering that I just got past Ice Cap, and I didn't get too many runs past Ice Cap, I just decided to keep going with it. So this is, of course, Knuckles Boss. And I screwed that up. But that's okay, because I've got a ring. The funny thing is, normally I don't have a ring in this fight. I actually blew him up too early. If you blow him up a bit later, then he explodes into numbers, and that looks pretty funny. So anyway, from there, we actually go into a period of relative normalcy, because you can't break this level, unfortunately. Well, you can't with Tails. Sonic can actually skip this entire stage as well, by doing a full spin dash, skipping past the first of those platforms, jumping off the tube at just the right time, and he just gets embedded in the floor, and you can zip to skip the entire stage. It's really dumb, and I kind of don't like how much of the game has become that now, but it is what it is, and we kind of just have to live with it. It's still a really fun game to play, but it's just, kind of not how I envisioned speedrunning the game would be when I first started it. Okay, invincibility over here. Takes a little bit of time to get it, but it saves more than that. Mostly here, because you've got to fly up, and normally you'd have to dodge that flybot, but when you don't have to worry about it, you can just take a straight line there, and that overall it probably saves about 1 second. And that's another thing, just me watching other players taught me. I like this method for this boss too. Just get stuck inside it and get 8 hits like that, because that's normally very slow as Tails. When you have when you're using Sonic and you can use Insta Shield, it doesn't really matter. But Tails can only get like 3 hits a pass, and it's quite slow if you do it the normal way. Okay, and then this boss is pretty trivial as well. So at the halfway point, I was thinking that this run was going pretty well. Because apart from Launch Base 1, there hadn't really been any major mistakes in it to this point. And I think this comes out either 139 or 140, so this is a good time as well. And there's still more tricks to come, so don't worry about that. The run's definitely not over at this point. Even though, like, I call this half the game, because this is the end of the Sonic 3 half here. And as far as game time goes, it's probably a little bit over a third. So I think that's about 11 minutes there. Oh, it's 138. Yeah, so I think that's about 11 minutes out of 29. Okay, the next stage, you can actually skip the entirety of this stage as well, but I don't even attempt it, because the method to do it almost always results in you dying. What you have to do is you have to hit the switch that opens up the door to the first special stage, then hit it and run under the door as it's closing again. Jump at exactly the right point in exactly the right position, and you get pushed down in the floor, and then from there it's not a guarantee anyway. So while that saves about 30 seconds if you do it perfectly, any run that got past Ice Cap, I didn't want to risk to stupid stuff like that. So I just played Mushroom Hill normally, and this level looks kind of funny when you play it normally, just because if you can carry the speed shoes this far, then you can just fly over most of the second half of the stage. And that was kind of unlucky where I landed, but that's okay. I need the fire shield for the boss here, so I go up and get hit by the mushroom because I was not quick enough. Another nice and trivial boss. There's really weird things you can do with this fight. If you manage to kill it in the middle of a cycle, like as it's moving between between one point and another, it's possible to really confuse the game and not be sure where you are, and go straight to Knuckles during this transition. And but it doesn't save any time for a real-time speedrun because you'd have to wait for the entire first cycle, and that takes too long. Anyway, so as Knuckles pushes you up there with the draft, there's actually one frame right at the top where you can jump and fly up to that red spring that I went to, and that would save about 2 seconds if I hit it, but I didn't. And that was quite unlucky, landing on the platform there and being very unlucky to hit the enemy just as I landed. This is something I didn't actually know for a long time. If you go up this on the left-hand side, then this top route becomes available to you. And the shield itself doesn't actually matter. Like, I'm about to take a hit, but I just like having it there just for safety's sake. And so what taking the hit there does is it lets me get 6 hits before he moves. And you can get those hits instantly, but hits in the gauntlet are much harder to get, and especially, like you can see, he gets 2 hits there and then he flies away. So getting a third hit there would take a significant extra amount of time. Now we go back to breaking the game again. This level has a trick I call the Leap of Faith. It's one I'm very proud of and have showed off at 2 marathons to this point. Pretty much the only trick in the game I actually found, because a lot of the other tricks are obviously involving zipping and level wrapping, and I just don't look for that stuff. This is a case where I looked at the map of the stage and I thought, I reckon Tails might just be able to make this. And as it turns out, he is just able to make this. And it actually took me finding something else out about the game to do it. You'll notice I fly up against the ceiling all the time. It's because that actually slows down Tails' rate of deceleration when he when he's flying upwards. That actually causes him to decelerate a bit. But flying up into the ceiling like that means it doesn't happen as drastically, and just gives you enough time to pull it off. And so overall that saves about 25 seconds, I think. It's 25 to 30. So it makes the stage look quite intense, but really, once you have the timing for the initial part of the trick, it's actually not that hard to do. Okay, so if you remember the slope glitch in Ice Cap, I'm about to do pretty much exactly the same thing here, and the way I'm gonna trigger it is by standing on the corner of this capsule as it blows up. And as you can see, that glitch has come back again. It's the slope glitch again. Now, one of the properties of the slope glitch that I didn't really explain the first time around is that if I touch any sprite, I'm going to lose it again. So normally you'd take that zipper and fly and just run straight up here, but you can't do that because then you'll lose the glitch. And keeping the glitch is very important to what I'm about to do. I'm about to basically jump into this wall behind the loop and skip the entire stage. What's going on here is I took that angle of about 45 degrees in the loop, and so now I'm running across the top of the screen. if I run too fast here, I'm actually going to run back into the level. And that's no good, because if you're not at the very top of the stage like that, as soon as you get into this area, you die. So that's not really an acceptable solution. So you have to kind of monitor your speed a little bit. And yeah, laser boss triggers, and no, you skip the laser boss and this platform triggers, and now we get to fight the boss. And this is pretty straightforward. The reason I didn't go and grab that ring is because I don't want him to shoot fire, because that interrupts his cycle and it costs a couple of seconds. So 125 there is not bad. That may be my best there, actually. Might have got a 124, I don't know. So this stage is also pretty much non-existent. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fly up to the top, and I'm going to, I guess basically I'm flying into a seam here, like between two different parts of the wall, and then I'm able to zip out of it, and that's it. That's the stage. Surprisingly, even though Knuckles doesn't have a way of moving straight up like that, he can do it too. But it's a lot harder because you have to drop a glide at exactly the right point, and then spin dash and hold right, and then switch to holding left, like halfway down. It's very precise, and I I don't really have a consistent way of doing it besides pause buffering, which I don't really like doing, even though you've seen me do it already. And spoilers, I'm about to do it once more. Well, not about to, but you'll see that in a couple of minutes. This boss is the same as it always is. There's nothing you can do to speed it up except to knock him straight into the sand for the last hit, like this. And my time being 112 here, I think, yeah, I'm gonna wait for a couple of seconds. A good time for the moving objects in the next level is 114. And so what I'm actually doing is I'm wasting a couple of seconds just to move the timer along while time doesn't count. So as you can see, it's right at the bottom there, ready for me to go. Now, this level, as I mentioned earlier, is one of the vertically wrapping levels, so we can do cool things like this. And none of that exists while it's off screen, so I just skip past that entire area. Okay, this glitch has been known for quite a while. This one here. All you have to do is full jump from the left side of that block and hold left all the way down. And you'll always go through like that. It's actually possible to skip the ghost from triggering at all in this stage. If you do a screen wrap at the top of the loop just before the capsule, you can skip them spawning at all. But I don't think it'd save any time, because doing a screen wrap, as you can see, it takes a couple of seconds to get the screen to scroll all the way down, and you only actually use three, I think, light switches. Okay, so this is the biggest of the new tricks in this stage. So I skipped a good portion of the stage doing that. Basically all it is it's another screen wrap thing. So when I jumped, the door pushed me into the wall next to it, and then I have to fly, run off to the right, and then jump over something, and from there I can just zip to the end. And not much more to say here. The boss of this stage is, unfortunately, as Tails, there's not really an easy way to speed it up. As Sonic, you can use the Insta Shield, and as Knuckles, you can kind of glide into it and stay in its hitbox for a while. But as far as I know, Tails has to do 2 hits at a time like this. And I screwed it up a little bit, but that's still not too bad. 2:24 is a very good time for that stage. Okay, so just a couple more tricks to go in Lava Reef, and then after that it's a pretty straight shot to the end. So this corridor I'm about to go through here, it had a very nasty habit of stopping me on the ramp just underneath that 3rd stalactite, and it would drop on me and kill me. And that is incredibly lucky. I can't remember the last time I got it before this run, and that saves about 9 seconds of going around, and it's basically just dumb luck. I've never come across any consistent way of doing it, and it enabled me to get my best time ever on this stage, despite the fact that this trick that I'm about to do didn't quite go perfectly. I think it takes me 4 attempts. And so basically what I'm trying to do is, the game's got a little bit of a quirk about it that when you jump towards a platform like that, it'll sometimes let you through the corner if it thinks you're going to go over the top. And so you have to do a very precise jump height where it thinks you're going to go over the top, but you don't. And then you don't land on top of the platform because that collision detection doesn't apply, so you just fall into it. And that saves about 25 seconds in the ideal case. So I think this is a 1 round on these, yep. And so now I'm standing in a very specific spot. That's where the fire shield appears on the boss map. And I want the signpost to appear there because I want it to make the fire shield appear. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause to line it up. I basically want the bottom of the signpost to be in line with Tails' head, and then I run underneath the box like that, and the box pushes me into the ground. Now, the next zip I have to do it at a specific time, because not all the level is loaded yet. I'm waiting for about 6 3/4 seconds before I go, and that puts me in the tunnel right at the end of the stage. And I can basically go from there to straight to this tube, and I'm at the end of the stage. Now, that's not the end of the story, because the boss that is in this stage is 2 minutes long, it's an auto-scroller, and it sucks. So I'd like to be able to skip it if I can. As it turns out, you can. And I got it second go, which is the absolute best I've ever done on that trick, and I get 38 seconds, which is so far so much better than anything I've ever done, and is basically the reason I kept the run. Because to get that again while getting everything else right is just going to be an insane feat. As it turns out, there's actually a new trick been discovered in the past few weeks. I can't remember exactly when, but sometime in June. You can actually save a minute in one of the upcoming stages, and I'll explain that when I get up to it. And so here we get to see the Knuckles cutscene where it looks like he's playing guitar, but he's actually just telling Robotnik to put the emerald back. I always just mess around and try and get hits here. So now we go to Sky Sanctuary, and Sky Sanctuary, as I mentioned, it's one of the vertically wrapping levels. It doesn't quite do it in the same way, though. It only wraps around itself once, because the level is too tall. So what it does is it puts the top of the stage at the bottom of the stage, and it just so happens that you can trick the game into thinking that you're at the top as well. And that's what I'm going to do, and it's going to skip the first two. Well, it doesn't actually skip the first two boss fights because with Tails you don't have to do them anyway. You can just fly past them, but this is a much quicker way of doing it rather than flying all the way up. So it's just another screen wrap on top of this, and then that's right, I screwed it up. In fact, I screwed it up twice because I was getting a bit overeager, I think, and trying to do it too early. Actually, in my initial run of this game as Sonic, I did that 4 times. I screwed it up 4 times and it lost 15 or more seconds, which gives you an idea of what the standards were like back in the day as well. And yeah, wow, I got a really bad pattern there. So it was kind of bad luck and kind of my own fault. But I guess I can't really say anything too bad about 113 when it's this close to the end. So you can actually do the stage in, I think it's about 130, 135 maybe, just by flying up to the top of the stage. But as you can see, that's much quicker. So now to Death Egg. Now the run's still not over. All the tricks are done, but there's one very difficult boss coming up at the end of this stage. And in order to make it a bit easier, what I want to do is I want to have a lightning shield to, you know, just to have an extra hit. And this area, like, that's the last lightning shield you can pick up that doesn't cost a ton of time. And this area is actually quite difficult, like, to not get hit in. So that was really unfortunate. I thought I'd done a really good job of dodging everything there, and then suddenly I hit the bullet on the way back down. So now we have to do this the kind of hard way. So the problem with this is you can do the first phase nice and safe, but that's really, really slow. So I'm going to kind of demonstrate how a safe round would go, and then at the end of that first round I'm going to get hit, and then it's just no holds barred from there. I hope you'll also like the second phase strategy I have. So ideally you don't get hit there, and that also makes things harder than they need to be. And I missed that hit as well. Normally you get a 4th hit there, so this is already, like, really bad. Because normally it should have been done like 5 seconds ago. They should never come back up to the top a 3rd time. Yeah, so this is my new strategy, and I kind of screwed it up and then managed to save it amazingly like that. What I was trying to do is basically roll off the platform, you know, when it's just slightly above where the boss is, and just bounce on it for 8 hits. Now, the way the platforms that rotate around it work is if you're on the right side of it, it'll go clockwise, and if you're on the left side, it'll go anti-clockwise. But what you can do is, while you're bouncing on it, kind of switch between sides. And if you can do that rapidly enough, then they'll stay in the same position, or roughly the same position, and they'll never get in your way, and you can get all 8 hits. Okay, so from the first of these platforms here, you can actually get stuck inside the wall and zip right to the end of the stage, straight to the boss, and it saves about a minute over the normal method for this stage. I'll explain a bit about that in a sec, but I want to talk about this right now. I've got 0 rings, so I'm going to fly into those spikes and not die. Basically, when you're under reverse gravity, sideways facing spikes do nothing. They're just a wall. It's pretty funny. um, just a consequence of not really testing it, I guess. But yeah, anyway, so about the zip, you're gonna see when I get into the boss room that normally you appear at the very right edge of a room, and the very right edge of the room is actually behind one of these tubes, and you can't get back into the stage if you're behind the tube. So what you actually have to do is you have to be in a very precise position and be flying up into the wall and zip out to get back into the boss room. It's it's tricky, but I can do it with a decent level of consistency. The only problem is just being able to being able to do that on top of everything else, and the fact that it's right at the end. Once you're in here, though, it's basically a gimme. Anyone who watched my marathon run at the last AGDQ will beg to differ on that because I managed to die on the last boss in the gauntlet, but that shouldn't happen. And I don't think I ever had a speedrun attempt where that actually did happen. Like even ones that weren't really tracking for good times. The strategy I use in this part of the fight is very simple. I don't stand on that end platform there because I've actually had it disappear on me before. Like the platform itself doesn't disappear, but the hitbox does, and you just fall through it and die. It's really strange. So this strategy is very consistent. And then on, I guess this boss is slightly slow because the quickest way to do it would be to hit the button from the left hand side and bounce straight back onto the laser for the first hit. But it's very possible to die doing that because sometimes you hit it just too late for the collision detection on the laser to kick in. And that is just about that. Just a couple more hits on Robotnik escaping with the Master Emerald, and that's the end of the run. So I hope you all enjoyed that, and I hope you enjoyed this audio commentary. If you listen to this first, please don't watch it again with the game audio because it was recorded really shoddily and it barely resembles the game, to be honest. It fades out a lot, and I'm not really sure why, but my audio device basically broke just before I got the run, and I didn't notice until it was too late. And I don't exactly want to, or I didn't exactly want to improve this run because at the time there were no known new tricks aside from I guess Mushroom Hill 1, but that's probably something you'll never see in a single segment. And uh, yeah, I just didn't want to touch it again. I figured this was basically my last run in this category.
That's a nice place to end that one, I think, especially considering what happened afterwards. Okay, so we're 2 down, 1 to go. We're going to now jump to HDL's run. There we go. This was done in 2014, so it's stood for about 3 years now. As it stands right now, I'm fairly sure it's going to stand for quite a while longer, but you know, maybe you can be the one to step up. So now we're going to jump over to this one. And, oh, it's the wrong size. Lovely. Alright. There we go. I'll do this. This time I will actually grab the... this has the wrong times in game time, so I might go ahead and fix that before we start this. Alright. Okay then. So this is as of this day right now, 5th of June 2017 is the current world record, and like I say, has been for about 3 years. It's by this young upstart called HDL. You might have heard of him. And here's how it goes. Oops. So this is comparing against my best time, so you'll see, you know, just how much higher the quality of play is, especially in the early part of the game. In my view, everything up to Launch Phase 2, I think, I don't remember there being a single mistake. Certainly he might do things differently now, but you're not going to see, in my view, these strategies executed any better. Also, that RTA time is wildly wrong. So immediately you see that just about everywhere HCL needs to fly, he flies at the correct height for the given situation. Also, he still hasn't come down off the top of the screen yet. There are platforms up there you can actually jump off, and you just happen to land in the right spot. And that's a slightly different way of doing the spin dash before boss to the one I do. This is super risky, because you have to get enough speed there to get up to the top there. That being said, it's quite early in the run, so not a lot of reason not to go for something like that. Ah, there was a mistake. He is human. The reason I didn't think there was a mistake is that he's still got a 35, which is which is what I'd normally get without a mistake. That way of taking the death there is obviously a little bit quicker than waiting for the wall to come in and crush you. And it's actually quite consistent because you just do a full-size jump and then you tap jump again at the top of the jump. So he still gets 4 there before the blade starts spinning. I normally do that with 3, because then you can still get 5 hits while bouncing. Interesting how this actually works. The flying while being in a very sharp descent. It gives you a lot of air control, but it also actually doesn't. If you only tap the flight button once, it doesn't really affect how long you spend, how fast you fall. Actually, I remember having to tell HDL that you can go for 6 hits in the first round there, and you don't actually lose time. So basically, what's going on is the amount of time that signpost spends in the air determines the pattern for the Act 2 boss. And if it falls on the right-hand side, you'll actually get a different pattern because it'll bounce on the fire shield, so it'll spend longer in the air. As it turns out though, that pattern is not, it doesn't lose as much time. Oh, whoops. It doesn't lose as much time as you save. Because the Act 1 drill boss spends about 4 seconds up in the air. So Column Light 1, this is slightly different. So the getting up to there is a bit quicker, and then HDL goes around this platform rather than the longer one with the fire shield on it. And does that spin dash just to the cameras a little bit further right and spends a little bit less time moving over. So again, HDL's method there is slightly different to mine, and the objective is to make sure that the boss moves as far to the right as possible. And what that does is it means that the spinning top spends less time in the air. between hits. No, I missed the split again. So the premise is the same, but HCL takes a bit more risk here by lining up the spin dash even when he can't see where he is. Yeah, remember how this was one of the longest and most annoying stages in the game? Yeah, not so much. Even that's so minor, but jumping over that enemy so that you're not wasting time moving, so you're not wasting time not moving to the right. That was interesting how early HDL exited that. That might be classed as a mistake these days. Because also falling down to the boss there means that you have to take time to set that up. And despite that, 59. So again, a slightly different method of setting this up, which means that that flybot turns around sooner, spends less time in the air. We're talking about things that save half a second to 1 second most of the time. But everything adds up, especially in the early game. So I would normally get 47 there. And here he is getting 45. So that was actually HDL pausing the game trying to time that jump. And a couple of other jumps actually. I wonder if he'd do those today with the new timing mechanism. He was actually trying to get hit there. Okay, that's a slight mistake. Overshooting the kind of teacup platform there. again, you'll see that flight. Can't let yourself get too low. In fact, that was very close. Yeah, I can't see them helping that much, to be honest, because you can't buffer a jump. There's no real sense in adding that extra input in there. Okay, so now I'd forgotten saying this, but apparently I said after that commentary that I didn't think you'd ever see Mushroom Hill 1 in a single segment. So, there's a couple of different methods of doing this one, and Sonic and Knuckles have the easier time of it, because they can have the door push them into the ground. Because Tails is a bit smaller, if he tries that method, he'll just get crushed. So he has to time a jump instead. This is actually the faster method because it will put you, it'll push you down a level. Just like that. Whereas with Sonic or Knuckles, you would push yourself all the way out to one side and then back to that position. Adds about an extra 4 seconds, but it's a lot easier to do. So that is very tight positioning. So as to be able to still get a hit, but dodge the flames as well. Okay, I don't know if it came up in the last round, but there's a one framer you can do here. Just like that. You do a jump on the exact frame, you get back control, the game thinks you're still on the ground, so you can jump. And then you can also fly up to the red spring. This is one of the few paths that actually genuinely changed. So that, if you can time all of that and get the speed shoots all the way up to the end there, that last flight happens really quickly. When you actually land it like that, it feels so smooth. But for me, that's one of the most difficult levels in the game to optimize properly. Now I'm trying to remember if this is still Leap of Faith territory. No, okay, we've progressed past that. And actually, this is just one of his biggest mistakes, surprisingly. But yeah, what we used to do was just run straight through here. We didn't know you could actually stop and spin dash in that area. So this section plays out a lot slower. And it means you have to be wary of, there's a couple of, yeah, those magnetic platforms there. You've got to be wary of their cycles. So that's a little bit slower than modern runs, but not by much. So HDL's a little bit braver than I am. I intentionally take damage during that fight so I can see when I'm teetering over the edge. And can therefore just do a straight jump up and down. And land on the corner. So this is very similar to Sonic's level we're at. Well, actually, up to this point it's exactly the same. After this, you don't jump out right at the end, you actually carry on through to here. That moving out to there triggers the platform to start rising, and then you have to make a mad dash up the side here to catch up to it. And if you don't get out there in time, you get crushed. So you're actually underneath the platform and everything right now, and you've still got slope boost, so you can't run up the slope. So there it is there. You can't pass through it right now, but thankfully, when you get, when it settles at the top, it becomes a platform that you can pass through the bottom of. So that method is about 10 seconds faster than the one I showed in the 29-minute run. Synopsis 1 hasn't really changed any. Aside from a little bit more precision on those jumps. Just to make sure that you don't bounce too far out of the that sandfall. Seeing Tails' silhouette in that background is always quite amusing. Doesn't really matter how you use that time. A 111, which is a basically perfect Act 1. It is possible to get 110, but it happens very rarely. Interesting that he didn't. Interesting that he didn't do the delay in. On the boss map there. So he's actually lost 2 seconds on the in-game timer. Possibly even 3. So you see everything just a little bit smoother, trying to sneak in some extra cycles. This is one of those stages where a little bit of extra time can be either super meaningful or not meaningful at all, depending on where in the stage it is. It's the most cycle-heavy stage of any in the game. Although, in fairness, most Sonic and Knuckles stages would be cycle-heavy if you didn't skip them. I don't believe Tails does do the stair clip. I don't think he can actually do it. Sonic and Knuckles both can. That flight there is so smooth. Stage went really well, but unfortunate error on the boss fight. So an alternate thing you can do there, if you don't want to wait for that lava fall to disappear, you can actually take a hit off the spikes. And kind of rebound into where the lava is. First try stair clip. The difference between Tails and the other characters is actually demonstrated on that rock with the two kind of snake enemies near it. Tails can run under that. The other two characters would have to roll, otherwise they would get hit. Much quicker arm section. We're skipping Act 2 again. And another first try. That's surprising, because HDL's consistency at this is so much better than mine. several more oh no's later. Another 30. Sam gets HCL gets 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Which I believe is the best you can do. And everyone's favorite speed strat. So moving to the right immediately with Tails causes the first vine here to be in a favourable position, which for Tails is out of the way. For Sonic you need it to be down the bottom so you can grab it. For Tails you want it to be at the top so you don't grab it. Alright, now we've progressed to taking hits on purpose. So the Death Egg 1 fight should be interesting. If I remember correctly, HCL had a very good method for this fight. The stage itself should be pretty similar. If he had actually been slightly faster there, would have actually lost time because he would have hit the laser platform. So now that I watch it back, I do see that this run actually does have mistakes in it, but it's a very, very strong run. It's going to take some beating. Get hit on purpose. That looks like a mistake. Time that just right, and you can get a spin dash off. And now, in this run, Death Egg 2 has a level wrap, so similar to Hydrosity 2, you have to die immediately. Thankfully, they very conveniently put a set of spikes there for you to die to. It's like they knew exactly what you needed. So all you have to do is just line yourself up perfectly on the edge of that platform so that you count as being in that wall. Line that up there. Jump, hold right. And now, line yourself up very perfectly vertically. And tap A just as Robotnik appears on the screen. And that, for some reason, pushes you down and back into the stage. If you don't time that right, then you get stuck on a level just below and you can't drop back down. That particular version of the skip is only Tails, yes. Sonic has a different one. So then we should see a pretty standard boss fight here, and that'll be the end of the run. Going for that extra fast hit there, where you get knocked back into the pit, and the hit actually saves you in the nick of time. And that's the end of the run there. 34:32 in our timing method, which is just absurdly fast. I'm not going to save that time though, because obviously it's not mine. So that's all of my world record progression videos done now. So I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope you enjoyed the other ones. I'm going to go back to doing some more runs. Just give me a couple of minutes.